copy of your driver's license, or a telephone bill, or an electric bill, or a cable bill. Glendora loves it when her signers send in a copy of their satellite bill. Oh, ho, hee hee, ha ha. Literally, the Dolans through Master Willie are saying to Glendora's signers, you're lying. Cablevision, Conclave, tell so many lies themselves they cannot believe that anybody else does not lie. Glendora's friends got his mother's neighbor for 50 years to sign the Yonkers papers, and then Cecilia Masterilli calls up signer Vario in Yonkers and scares Vario out of it. And Cecilia censors a chat with Glendora off of Yonkers. It hasn't been on in Yonkers for something like 2 months, 3 months. And that's no good, because the people in Yonkers need this information. They need this information how to protect themselves. They also need the happiness lessons, and they need the happy book, and they need the happy contest. They need all those things. Cecilia never notifies Glendora. Glendora, on a routine check, calls Cecilia to check on Yonkers, New Rochelle, Pelham, Harrison, Port Chester, Yorktown, Ossining, Peekskill, and Wappingers. And that's not all. Those are only the head ends of the systems. Each system has about 8 municipalities. Am I on in Yonkers, Glendora asks? And Cecilia says, no. Why? She said she never heard of you. Why is that a condition of cable casting a chat with Glendora? How is she ever going to hear of Glendora with Cecilia doing this censoring? Should that be a condition of Glendora's inalienable right to public access given her by government, federal, state, and municipal? How is Vario ever going to hear of Glendora if Cecilia violates Glendora's right to be cable cast? This is extortion. These defendants deliberately, willfully, and knowingly cannot commit extortion. They try to frighten people off, and they have done so over 30 times. I can start the list. Tom Rogers and his wife. Bridget O'Connor and Richard. And on and on and on. Carol Allen and her husband. This is discrimination. Public access is to be administered on a first-come, first-served, non-discriminatory basis. They discriminate against Glendora. Here's Vario's application, by the way. Completely signed, filled out, and signed and dated in 3 places. No other cable system requires that. These pages are affectionate. They are stuck on each other. And here's the odious contract. Look at this thing. Doesn't amount to a hill of beans. Would never stand up in court. First of all, it's not a contract. Nobody from Cablevision signs it and serves it on the other signer with an affidavit of service. And here's the renewal. She was all set to renew for the period that just started today, April 1st. By the way, this lawsuit's being served on April Fool's Day. I love it. We would have been all set in Yonkers if it hadn't been for extortionists Cecilia Masterilli and boss Christine Savarino, who has no experience in cable TV and just was dropped into the job. All these Cablevision are so parochial. They have no idea what's going on in other cable companies. Because she tells the subscribers the truth about rate increases. That's why Cablevision doesn't want Glendora on TV. About the hoax of their posing as a public corporation. They're only public to go out and get other people's money to put into their hoax. But they're still a family business. With Charles Dillon having 75% of the voting power, you call this a public corporation. No, it's a hoax. And I got the Securities Exchange Commission to investigate Cablevision. I think it's another Enron. About their refusal to show Glendora the shareholders list, the books, the records, and the minutes. One time? No. 107 times. About their utter disobedience of the law. About their $3 million and $6 million salaries and bonuses and unspecified income. And how the board members get $1,000 just to go to the annual meeting, and plus all the travel expenses. It's terrible. Why can't they make an honest living? They'll never be happy this way. Further, this is editorial control. Title 47 U.S. Code Section 531. No cable operator shall, 531E, no cable operator shall exercise editorial control over public access. Now, the RICO statutes require an enterprise, and Cablevision is certainly an enterprise. The second prong of the RICO, a racketeer influence crime organization, is money motive. Cablevision has no other motive. It's always money. 3, extortion. That's Cecilia calling up and chasing the signers away. 4, 2 predicate acts a year. Well, Cablevision commits hundreds a month. Now, they don't want the cost of public access. Cablevision doesn't want the cost of public access. The cost of public access has to be borne by the cable TV operator. Nor do they want their channel to go to, our channel really, to go to public access. Instead, they want to sell the channel. They want to sell its time in advertising and in the cable television syndicate network. So, court, we have 3 stipulations for a RICO: extortions, money motive, enterprise. The 4th is 2 predicate acts a year. James and Charles Dolan, through satellite, commit hundreds per year. So 18 U.S. Code Section 1961 is met on 4 prongs. Further, on information and belief, after scrutinizing Cablevision since 1992, Glendora sees a trail of gangsterism slithering through their conduct. It is hard to say who is pulling the strings. As a man said, we changed this management of our company. We would change the management of our company if we could just find out who's running it now. A Family Feuds ballot. This is very interesting. Charles Dolan wanted to keep his satellite boom, and he wanted to give it up, cable TV, and go to boom. Just following his subscribers, that's all. And James Dolan joined the enemies on the board against his father. I say parenthetically, this may be true. I strongly suspect it's just yellow journalism. This is something that Newsday cooked up. Now, it was a gangster pulling the strings that made Cablevision's son, James Dolan, double-cross his dad, if this is a true situation. Further, Glendora, on information and belief, alleges that neither Dolan has any say that strings are pulled by the gangsters outside of Cablevision. And the latest gangsterism is a lottery to hand out time slots. No matter what, Glendora is guaranteed her Friday 10 p.m. time slot. The law is first come, first served, period. He was there first in 1993. Okay, I got to go to the post office and serve this. This is an article that appeared in a Long Island newspaper. What's the name of the newspaper? Long Island News or something? It has some accuracies in it, but I think it has more inaccuracies. We're on page 27. We'll go up to 30, and then I'll go to the post office. You want to go with me and see this great paper, sir? Glendora's resident signer in Nassau County in western Suffolk, and by the way, that's one of the biggest systems in the United States, if not the biggest. Nassau County, 430,000 subscribers, goes the night before, 6 p.m., and puts his chair in line with his name on it and waits a couple of hours outdoors, snow in the February, heat in August, and goes home for supper, sleeps, comes back at 3 a.m., stands in line for a while, and then sits in his car until 6 a.m. or 7 a.m., stands in line until the door opens at 9 a.m. He, Jim Bernass, and his daughter Kelly are about 30th in line and get their 7 p.m. Thursday time slot and Glendora's 10 p.m. Friday time slot. That was bad enough. Wait till you hear the horrors of their gambling. A lottery. Just let me interpose here that a lottery in the state of New York is illegal. Okay? You have to have a gambling license. It has to be prominently displayed. You have to be open to inspection. Otherwise, it's a misdemeanor, and what's 3 misdemeanors? A Class C felony. All this happens, court, when we are both guaranteed these time slots forever by law. Federal, state, and municipal franchise. And why do we acquiesce? We acquiesce, folks, because we're threatened. This is a RICO, remember? We're threatened. If we don't acquiesce, then we don't have our programs cablecast. This is our right. Public access is your right. It's our allodium. It's ours, free of any payment or supervision or control. It's our allodium. Now, this is another form of RICO extortion when they will not cablecast our program unless we acquiesce. Now, indeed, this gang Dolan through Savarino and Master Billy have robbed Glendora and the public of a chat with Glendora in Yonkers, New Rochelle, Pelham, Yorktown system, which is 8 municipalities, the Ossining system, which is 8 municipalities, Peekskill, which is 8 municipalities, Fairfield County, Connecticut, Rich, Greenwich, Stamford, Norwalk, and 10 other municipalities. Insert here, court, that is not only Glendora's free speech that is so brutally transgressed, but also, folks, your right to know. You are the public. The public has a First Amendment right to know. We are a republic. You run a republic on an informed electorate. The public has a right to know. We have just been invaded by about 300 blackbirds, and I don't have enough food out there for 300. The government has an interest in this lawsuit. Do you see why? Because the government statute, 47 U.S. Code Section 521 et sequitur, is being violated here. And the government's First Amendment protection of the speaker and the person who's spoken to is being violated. That's why the government has an interest in this lawsuit. The first paragraphs of Title 47, United States Code 521 et sequitur say, as diversified information as possible. Indeed, Congress called us what? An electronic soapbox. We are people standing on a soapbox in the park, addressing the community. Except we are doing it now right here before your eyes and ears electronically. Study it, court. We give the public information that CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, Fox News have never given the public and never can. The government has an interest in this lawsuit. Now, in addition to their page 30, acquisitive, grasping, avid, avarice, they fail in one of the USA's wealthiest counties to provide system-wide public access. Cablevision stoops don't know enough how to provide system-wide public access in the wealthiest areas probably in the United States, being Scarsdale, Rye, White Plains, Mamaroneck, Larchmont, Greenberg, and all of its incorporated and unincorporated villages. Did I mention White Plains? Did I mention Eastchester? Bronxville? The wealth in those municipalities, 20 of them, do not have system-wide public access, and they are living in medievalism. This is the Dark Ages. Cablevision stoops don't know enough how to provide system-wide public access. And that's thanks to you, Dirty John Malone. And now, Dirty John Malone, you're on the Dirty Cablevision board. I didn't finish the story about Boom, folks. So, Charles Dolan, when his son voted against him and other members of the board voted against him, he wiped them out. The members of the board, not his son yet. I should think he would wipe out his son as CEO of Cablevision. Charles Dolan wiped out these directors and appointed 5 new directors. And therefore he got control of the board, and this new board told Charles Dolan he had until yesterday, March the 31st, to take care of Zoom so it wouldn't be a financial burden on Cablevision. How is it that for an archaic cable TV system, it is called Cablevision of Southern Westchester? Can you begin to list the wealth, the Wall Street, the corporation moguls, the entertainment stars that live in this area, and yet they are in the dark ages of cable TV. Page 30, let me go to the post office and get this served. I don't know if the clock is on the TV screen. It was, and then it's 100 buttons to operate on this little tiny camera. But anyway, it's 10:20 a.m. on April the 1st, April Fool's Day, in the year 2005, Anno Domini. What's Newton's third law of motion? I started to tell you the first law of motion is inertia. Once you started, you can't stop, and once you stopped, you can't get started. That applies to all right, to me. A woman's work is never done thanks to daytime television. The old adage, early to bed, early to rise, is likely to make a person healthy, wealthy, and able to get, and likely to get his own breakfast, yes. Fit as a fiddle, but shaped like a vase vial. And you can live this day as if it were your last day, folks. You can live every day as if it were your last day. And someday you will be right. Did you hear about the accountant who was so smart that the American Association of Accountants named a loophole after him? And one businessman says to his accountant, or his accountant said to him that he wasn't going to be in private practice any longer. He was going to go to work for the state of New York. And the executive says, oh, well, congratulations, what are you going to do? And the accountant says, make license plates. Why are Bob and Joan the perfect couple? He's a hypochondriac and she's a filth. And there's nothing so simple that Cablevision cannot make it difficult. Keep your courage flaming. I'll be back. I'll be back, Charles Dolan. In Christ there is no east or west, in unknown, south or north, but one great fellowship of love throughout the whole wide earth. Well, folks, it's done. We did it. We did it. We bought a $150 money order for the filing fee, and we bought a $3.85 stamp for the court clerk, and a $3.85 stamp for the assigned district judge in Des Moines, and we handed over McDermott and Bernath and Center for Judicial Accountability to be mailed, and we handed over to Sue the 24 defendants, and she put the stamps on them, and I don't know what that cost. I'll have to look that over. And the Omnibus 25 lawsuit is served. I'll resume reading to you page 31. What happened when the public access channel fills up? By law, the cable company has to have a second public access channel. A waiting list of signers for the next sign-up period, and there should be no sign-up period, is not giving the public access to TV. What do defendants Dolan through Satterley do? You see, this is a wonderful institution, and thank heavens that people like Jim Bernath are standing up for it. And we're just not letting go of it. The public has access to TV. Isn't that a wonderful thing? The big money people don't own everything. We at least still have our access to TV. What do the defendants Dolan through Satterley do? They come up with a lottery. That's the best their criminally twisted gangster minds can do. In January, we all received the following by United States mail. Here, access user. This is illegal size type, by the way. Cablevision, in its effort to make the public access experience a more positive one. What a bunch of hokum. If they can make it negative in any way, they will. It's constantly looking for ways to improve our administration of public access. It constantly needs it. And streamline the process. As a result of our most recent review, we have made a major change in how we will accept applications. Fine, and that's going to put you right in jail. Beginning with our next sign-up period, all applications will be accepted by United States mail only. No in-person, fax, or emailed applications will be accepted, nor will we accept applications by any private mail delivery service. And so where does that land Andy Hirschman? You heard him on the telephone. He got no spot at all. Where did that land Jim Bernath, who's been on the TV for 7 years? 3 o'clock in the morning. So you're doing great, Cablevision. This decision was based on numerous factors, including ensuring the safety of our access producers and Cablevision employees, as well as providing equal access for all producers, since some producers are unable to physically get to our locations. What a bunch of hokum. Some producers are unable to physically get to our locations. What a bunch of hokum. What a bunch of lies. You know, Dolan has told 3,500 lies. Okay, here's another 50 more. We are confident that this new procedure will balance the interests of all interested parties. This will eliminate any hardship producers have had to endure to waiting in line or standing outside, and it will also eliminate their public access, their access to public TV. I mean, their access, the public's access to TV. This new procedure will require that all access programming producers mail their renewal agreement and proof of residency through the U.S. mail to Cablevision Public Access. Hooray! They're conducting gambling through the United States mail. Well, that's good for a few years in prison. Post Office Box 240 access applications delivered in person will not be accepted. The earliest U.S. Post Office mark date for acceptance is February the 15th, 2005. Any applications received with an earlier postmark will be unopened and returned to the sender. Well, they ought to be returned to someone. A whole bunch of them. The post office box is for applications only. Please do not mail any videotapes to the P.O. box. Also, we do not mail any applications to our offices. They will not be accepted and will be returned. There will be no exception to this rule. Where is their statutory authority? Is this a law of the Congress of the United States? Is this a law of the legislature of the state of New York? Is this a law of the municipal government of any municipality we know? We will commence with the scheduling of time slots on a first-come, first-served basis based on the United States Postal System postmark date. First-come, first-served, baby, means 1993. That's what it means. The year 1993, a chat with Glendora, 10 p.m. Friday. That's what first-come, first-served means. As the mail is opened, again by random drawing in the order of U.S. Postal System postmark day, each application will be considered for the first air slot requested. And how come Lori Galgano mailed hers just as soon as the post office opened, 8 o'clock in the morning, and Pat stood right behind her and mailed mine? Lori gets a midnight slot and Glendora gets a 10 o'clock slot, a 10 p.m. slot. How come, folks? And let me cite another example. Jim Bernath mailed his at 8:01 a.m. on February 15th. He gets a time slot of 3 a.m. and right behind him his daughter Kelly mails mine. And Glendora gets a 10 p.m. time slot. As is the current procedure, if that slot is taken, the second air slot request will be considered. If all requested air slots are taken, listen to this, the applicant will be called and offered another day and time, like 3 a.m. in the morning. 3 a.m., tautological. Any additional air slot requests for the same program will be considered only after all first requests have been scheduled. This new mail-in only procedure based on the United States Postal Service postmark will address access producers' concerns about standing in line and will make the access application process more convenient while preserving the spirit of first come, first served. Oh, boy, do they lie. Shall we read it before we take a break? It's done on the black pants. It's burning the skin. One violation is a misdemeanor. 3 are a Class E felony. They are violating 1,000 with every public access paper submitted. Add to that the federal violation 15 U.S. Code 1271, crossing the state line, New Jersey to New York. This zooms in on Glendora's RICO claim against them. They are professional gamblers and always have been. Gangsterism, influence. Gangsterism has the sway and has the say. Glendora invokes RICO, Title 18 U.S. Code 1961 to give this court jurisdiction over defendant's criminal conduct. Section 103 is reserved. Title 15, Commerce and Trade. Labeling and marking of shipping packages. Registration of manufacturers and dealers. Numbering. They do none of this. Confiscation of gambling devices and means of transport laws governing. This is Title 15, the United States Code, Criminal Code. We're on the last sheet. Okay, now herein we list the felonies. Stolen defendants. 18 U.S. Code Section 2 committed an offense against the United States punishable as a principal. 18 U.S. Code Section 241, conspiracy against the rights of citizens. These are all the felonies, criminal violations by the Dolans. 18 U.S. Code Section 1001, lying and covering up. 18 U.S. Code Section 1505, obstruction of justice. Relief requested. Glendora, declaratory judgment that Dolan defendants. Acts, policies, and practices described herein violate plaintiff's right under Title 47 U.S. Code Section 521 et sequitur. 9 New York Code Rules and Regulations, Section 595.4. New York Public Service Law, Article 11, Section 229. No cable operator shall limit or prohibit public access. 15 U.S. Code, Section 1271. And New York State Games of Chance. Compensatory damages in the amount of $50,000 for each Dolan defendant. That's interesting. That's what James Burnett sued them for, $50,000. But this whole lawsuit, the ad hominem, is $180 million. Punitive damages in the amount of $50,000 for each defendant. Plaintiff's cost of this action. Defendant should leave the time slots as they are. They should open a second public access channel. Now we found out it's not only a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh. They should fill it up by first come, first served, by the law, reserved. Glendora. 95.4 and of 594. Violations of public access rights and not following the law in franchise renewals. They let Cablevision operate 12 years without a renewal license in Southampton. I say all of those 12 years, nobody in Southampton had to pay his cable bill because Cablevision was not legally authorized to be the cable operator there. They have completely sold out to big money. This is the Public Service Commission. They allow Queens Public Access to operate a lottery, a misdemeanor in New York State, and after 3 times a Class E felony. They allow Queens to cost this public access producer $40 every 2 weeks to bumper shows from VHS to Sony Professional DV cams, something way beyond the means of public access producers. Odious and antithetical to Congress's interest for public access TV, also New York State Legislature's interest and intent. They continually side with, support, cover up, collude with the cable operator and rob the public access producer of inalienable rights. To be useless is one cause of action and to be hurtful is another. Flagrantly, they violate New York State Public Service Law, Article 11, Section 229. No cable operator, and in this case they are acting as a cable operator, shall limit or prohibit public access. Flynn et al. Have no statutory authority to require a non-resident have a resident signer. When asked to produce their statutory authority, Figliosi said, "It's not a law, it is our interpretation of the law." They are a total alfosis. They defy 47 U.S. Code Section 521, except no diversified information. As diversified information as possible, the electronic soapbox, first come, first served, and non-discriminatory. The government has an interest in this complaint. They are state actors, obviously, and are sued under Title 42 U.S. Code Section 1983, Civil Rights, and 1985, conspiracy. Further, they are sued for violations of 18 U.S. Code Section 241, conspiracy against rights of citizens, B, 18 U.S. Code Section 1001, lying in, covering up, C, 48 U.S. Code Section 1505, obstruction of justice, They let TCI black out system-wide public access in southern Westchester, and they are accessories before the fact and after the fact, with defendants James Dolan through Satterley allowing a lottery. Relief requested. Declaratory judgment that defendants violate Glendora's rights under 19 New York Code Rules and Regulations, Sections 594 and 595.4. Article 11, Sections 229 and 47 U.S. Code, Section 521, as sequitur. That's William Flynn and the Public Service Commission, and every member on the Public Service Commission. Gamma, defendant. Defendant's Judicial Counsel for the Fourth Circuit and Samuel W. Phillips in Richmond, Virginia, are sued for rendering meaningless our say in the qualification process of federal judges. The Congressional Judicial Reform Act of November 2002, codified in 28 U.S. Code Section 351. This is just what Saxby did as a disamericanism. Chambliss did to Elena Sassower in 2004. Americans have no say. It is not a government of the people, by the people, nor for the people. Phillips is further sued for impersonating a judge. Patrice Connor is a good clerk in a bad court. Other statutes these defendants robbed Glendora of are 42 U.S. Code 1983, Civil Rights, and 1985 conspiracy. 18 U.S. Code 1505, obstruction of justice. 18 U.S. Code 1001, lying and covering up. 18 U.S. Code 2, 18 U.S. Code 241, 18 U.S. Code 371, 18 U.S. Code Section 401. Glendora invoked 18 U.S. Code 9, Section 1961, Civil RICO, racketeering influence crime organization, to give this court a civil court jurisdiction over these criminal acts. Here is the paper that shows they did all of those things, and I read it to you at the time it was written in CERN. Delta defendants. Beezer, Silverman, and Schroeder of the Ninth Circuit, San Francisco, are being sued for violations of the U.S. Code, Title 28, for fraud, for mail fraud, for failure to adjudicate the case on its grounds, on its merits, and on its facts. For autism, for dodge, for duplicity, for cheating, to wit, Title 42 U.S. Code, Section 1983, Civil Rights, and 1985 conspiracy. Title 18 U.S. Code, Section 1505, obstruction of justice. Title 18 U.S. Code 1001, lying and covering up. 18 U.S. Code Section 2, 18 U.S. Code Section 241, 18 U.S. Code Section 371 and 18 U.S. Code Section 401. The Ninth Circuit has been an abandoned, profligate, dissolute, reprobate cheater for 3 years. Glendora invokes 18 U.S. Code Section 1961 RICO, Racketeer Influence Crime Organization, to give this court a civil court jurisdiction over these people's criminal acts. Estimated website program number is 4036 www.chatwithglendora.com. Estimated debut was April 1st, 2005. That's today. And it didn't even come close to making it. And here are the papers to the Ninth Circuit. Papers that were read to you the day they were served. Unbelievable how judges lie, steal, and cheat in broad daylight and think they're going to get away with it. Not only do we have to put up a fight for public access, folks, but we have to put up a fight with papers that stick together and judges who break the law. Epsilon. Repetitive defendants Flom, Chief Judge, 7th Circuit, and Chief Clerk Gino Agnello, 7th Circuit, continue their violations of the U.S. Code, the Constitution, the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag, and Americanism. They are what we call in video land auto repeats, or sometimes it is called endless tape or endless rewind. Glendora's memorialization and memorandum to them are unambivalent. Your copy is attached in the next sheet. Glendora's statutory rights violated are Title 42 U.S. Code Section 1983, Civil Rights Section 1985, Conspiracy, United States Code 181001, lying and covering up, United States Code 1505, obstruction of justice, United States Code 2, 18 U.S. Code 241, 18 U.S. Code 371, and 18 U.S. Code 401. Include Title 28 U.S. Code Section Appeals Fee is to be the same in all circuits. Glendora's circuit is $105, and they were trying to charge me $255. Glendora invokes 18 U.S. Code Section 1961 RICO, Racketeer Influence Crime Organization, to give this court jurisdiction over their criminal acts. The estimated website program is number 4037. That's way off. It's actually 4056. 26 programs off. It's being posted circa April 1st, 2005, and that's 3 weeks off. www.chatwithglendora.com. Here are the papers that are the evidence of their law breaking, all papers which were read to you on the day of their service. And the blackbirds are still here. Isn't that cute? How we doing? Well, pretty well. We're up to Zeta. Defendants LeBron, Sheridan, and Sunshine of the appellate term, 9th and 10th Judicial District, Supreme Court, State of New York, are sued for obstruction of justice, 18 U.S. Code 1505, for misbehavior of court officers in their official transactions. That's 18 U.S. Code Section 4012. Remember, 18 is the criminal code, and Title 28 is the civil code. For lying and covering up, 18 U.S. Code Section 1001, for refusing to file a petition, Public Law 94-426 of September 18, year 76. The following taken from Omnibus 24, Glendora versus Tata, delineates the a sequence. All defendants are state actors and come under Title 42 U.S. Code Section 1983 and 1985. Glendora invokes RICO, 18 U.S. Code 1961, to give this court jurisdiction. Over their criminal act, Title 18. That boy. Okie dokie. Playing with a skateboard and giving it all that time when a whole world of greatness awaits him. All right. We will get the rest of the lawsuit. There can't be much more. But we're up to page 65. There's only 77 pages in the whole thing. So, let me see what's going on in my pocket here. I got a joke to read to you. Yeah. A woman's work is never done, thanks to daytime TV. Early to bed and early to rise will make a person healthy, wealthy, and apt to get his own breakfast. Sit as a fiddle and cape like a bass viol. We'll be right back. Defendants Boyle, Brooke, and Fox in Raleigh, North Carolina, United States District Court, are sued for taking 3¼ months to get Glendora's notice of appeal from the United States District Court Raleigh to the 4th Circuit in Richmond. Congress has a cost and delay reduction program, Title 28. It is a law. Glendora's statutory rights violated are federal rules of civil procedure, Rule 1, just, speedy, and inexpensive, 18 United States Code Section 241, 18 U.S. Code Section 4012, 18 U.S. Code 1505, 42 U.S. Code 1983, and 42 U.S. Code 1985. RICO, 18 U.S. Code Section 1961, is invoked to give this court a civil court jurisdiction over their criminal act. And here is the paper on that was read to you the day it was served. And here comes the boy trying to jump on his skateboard. This is the third day he's been out here doing that. Okay. Now, here are all these papers. The Raleigh Court, and we're up to the last defendant, IOTA. Glendora's complaint against defendants Masterilli, Tabat Salaco, and Officer Lewis of the Peekskill Court are fully delineated in the 30 pages that follow. Federally, they are sued for violations of 47 U.S. Code, Section 521 et sequitur, 18 RICO U.S. Code Section 1963, 42 U.S. Code Section 1983, Civil Rights under color of state, and Section 1985, conspiracy. And that's the end of the complaints against all of the defendants. We will have to post these names onto the internet. Now, the Glendora versus Tabat Salaco was read to you. in its entirety the day it was served. That's in the White Plains City Court. And now we have the service, pursuant to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 4D, asking each defendant to acknowledge the lawsuit and to waive the cost of serving a summons. This is the lawsuit that was served today at noon. Now let me give you some startling facts on this. Wait a second, where is the wherefore? You must hear the wherefore. That's a must. Wherefore, therefore, and ergo. Glendora seeks substantial justice of $5,000. That's wrong. That's the wrong wherefore. Wherefore, therefore, and ergo, plaintiff Glendora is to be granted 1. Declaratory judgment that the defendant acts, policies, and practices described herein violate her rights under the United States Constitution, the United States Code, the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, the Federal Rules of Appellate Procedure, and the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. Injunctive relief that defendants cease and desist instantly such acts, policies, and practices. $180 million and 0 cents, not to be paid in pennies. Compensatory or punitive damages. Jail time and fines from the Dolan defendants for violating the law and games of chance. Jury trial on all issues, triable by a jury, and that is all issues. Facts and law, common law, uniform, commercial code, Article 1, Section 207. Plaintiff's cost of this action and all further relief just and proper. 8 is reserved and is dated March the 15th. That's when this paper was finally written, but it didn't get served until today, 2 weeks later. The Ides of March, March the 15th, the Ides of March, Anno Domini, the state of New York. Yours in truth and in amor patriae, love of one's country, Glendora without prejudice. Uniform Commercial Code, Article 1, 207, Glendora, and it's Opus 1246. That's how many legal papers I have written. And it took 36 and a half hours. I think you have to repeat that to 38 and a half hours because it took so long to read it to you. And guess what it cost? $253.29. Big accomplishment. Big deal. And that's it, folks. Oh, isn't that delicious? And I made the last page blue. And on the back of it, Bob Hope. Okay. God and their greatness with God and their happiness and their joy and their fulfillment and their attainment and fun of life and the real meaning of life and the achievement and the satisfaction and the things that are really interesting and the things that really count. And sit at the fiddle and shake like a bass file. Live each day as though it were your last, folks, and someday it will be. And the accountant who was so successful that the American Association of Accountants named a loophole after him, and the man's accountant said that he wasn't going to be private any longer. He was going to work for the state of New York. Oh, really? Congratulations. What are you going to do for the state of New York? Make license plates? And Bob and Joan are the perfect couple. He's a hypochondriac and she's a pill. And there's nothing so simple, cable vision can't make it difficult. And I have to sit down and tell you this joke because it's a hand joke. Harry had a bad day in a golf course, and he threw all his golf bags, all of his golf balls, rather, into the pond, and he threw all of his golf clubs into the pond. He threw his golf bag into the pond. He went up to the clubhouse. He slit his wrist. He's standing there bleeding to death, and George, his friend, comes in and says, "Hi, Harry. How about a game of golf tomorrow?" And Harry said, "What time?" All the golfers tell me that's very true. I'll see you soon. It's gone, it's gone, it's gone. The snowbank is gone. And today God washes the earth. And across the meadow, no snow. There's the last snow you're going to see, that little patch over there. Goodbye, winter. You were a good winter. We had some ecstatic, cozy days. Here's what's the file, Omnibus 25, in the United States District Court. $150. And 90-cent money order fee. And here's what it costs to serve 24 defendants. This is to the judge, and this is to the clerk, 2 of these. And then this is the others. First class, 24 defendants. Shall we go? Keep going. Just a minute, I'll drop it down. Arms aren't long enough. Where'd you leave off there? And here comes the total. Cannabis 25 Glendora versus Chainsaw Dolan et al. Half of a cherry pie. I think that's it. Hooray! 49 videotapes are wrecked to go to the TV station. That's about $50 worth of postage. Every other Sunday. And who pays for that? Frankie, the public access producer, pays for it. All volunteer. Folks, 40 tapes have been wrapped. 40 have been wrapped. And here's the last 9 more to go. And what made it so heavy this week were the tapes that DC TV censored. They obviously ran a tape for 3 minutes, and then they wrote down audio in and out, video shaky, and just made up everything they could make up to censor the program because it's telling the truth about judges in the District of Columbia, the judges down there that we had caught lying and cheating and betraying the United States. So far I've fed the skunks 2 bags of popcorn, 1 Tootsie Pop, 3 pieces of raw macaroni, 2 packages of crackers, half of a cherry pie. I think that's it. Hooray! 49 videotapes are wrapped to go to the TV station. That's about $50 worth of postage. Every other Sunday. And who pays for that? Frankie, the public access producer, pays for it. It's all volunteer. Stay away from .com. Want some water? My neighbor Mary came to the door and said that her neighbor to the south, who is my friend, Jane Dean and John Dean, said a little kitten was crying outside the door, and they've got a husky, and that husky would not be good with this kitten. And so Jane couldn't take the little kitty in, so she called Mary, and Mary came to my door. And guess who brought home the kitten? You've got an awful cold from being outdoors. So, this kitten's been out in the cold, and she has a terrible cold. She has congestion in her nose and in her throat. And we took some matter out of her eyes and some out of her nose. And she wouldn't stop snuggling. And purring, oh, she purrs so loudly. And .com, of course. .com, how are we going to take care of this kitten? How are we going to do it, .com? She's 8 weeks old. Only kittens know how to do that. Mary Kelser, Jane Dean, Glendora. What do you want to name the kitten? Announcement. Contest. Name the kitten. $25 cash prize. Contest opens April 4th, Monday, 2005. Contest closes May the 4th, 2005. Name the kitten. Box 124, Ghent, New York, 914-949-9495. Decision of the judges is final, open to all ages. In process here is Glendora's statement to the Hudson City Court on Glendora versus Natalia, Preferred Country Properties, and Preferred Country Properties versus Glendora. Lisa is paying the museum rent. She's stepping in as a successor in case anything happens. So thank you very much, Lisa. It's all set. She paid the first museum rent last night for April. Every kitten has to have a person. Every kitten has to have a person. She stopped everything. But the in-mail of Good Friday finally got open. There's 5 or 6 legal papers. Puerto Rico will be the newest defendant, probably the lead defendant. unless it's David Rockefeller in Omnibus 26. In-mail got open. The sun is helping her cold. Why, that was terrible. She would have died. On that cold, wet day yesterday. And there's 4 or 5 things to do from the in-mail of March the 15th, the Ides of March. Do you know Newton's law, third law of motion? For every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, particularly if you're married. It's been a traumatic experience for .com. She had a whole person to herself. And now she has to share that person. But yesterday she spent the day under the bed, .com did. Can you imagine losing half of your person when you're a cat? It's so hard when you're a cat to find a person. And then you find one and then you have to give up half of your person. You have to keep her hand warm. Every sneeze is a step toward recovery. And she sneezed about 20 times today. That's good. Hard to keep myself clean. And you don't know how impossible it is to try to get a legal paper done with a kitten in the house. What's an example of minority rule? Having a kitten in the house. .com, you're doing very well. Now, this is the closest you've got. Up until now, you'd run under the bed if she got close to you. Of course, the kitten would like to go to .com because the kitten thinks that .com is something like her mother. Poor little kitty. She's 8 weeks, folks. This is legal paper number 4 that came in on the Ides of March. That would be the 15th of March. He's the administrative judge, state of New York. Tembechian Commission on Judicial Conduct. They don't know a bad judge from a good one. Oh, well, there are no good judges. Glendora, administrative judge, deputy, New York State. The National Association of Realtors. Is coming up. This is Judge Nicholson and his clerk Clark. And Judith K., and I do mean Judith K. And since I've been saying that on the envelope, they no longer just return my letters unread by Judith K. Village of Chatham and Chatham Police Department. Chatham, New York, Columbia County. Great hero, Elena Sassauer. Friend, Brad Sachs. Good audience. Governor Pataki. Peekskill Pataki. Natalia, Preferred Country Property, who started all this. Great American Hero, Washington, D.C. Roberta Nicholson, Mary Lou Kirsten, Columbia Green Board of Realtors. A farce as to code of conduct and standards and ethics. Clerk of the Court, Chatham Court, Chatham, New York. Terrence McDermott and Nyersbach, National Association of Realtors, Chicago. Code of Ethics is a fraud. Standards of Practice is a fraud. Leonard Goodman and all the others who serve on the Commission on Judicial Conduct. They don't know a good judge from a bad judge. You know why? They've never seen a good judge. Administrative Judge George Ceresia. For service tomorrow. City Court, City of Hudson, County of Columbia, State of New York, United States of America. And it is Preferred Country Properties versus Glendora, and Glendora versus Preferred Country Properties. And this is Glendora Memorandum to the Chief Judge. I received their paper in the mail. And first, Alpha, how can Glendora meaningfully defend herself against the claim when nobody has told her what the claim is? This is the paper that came from the city court. This is pretty interesting. Listen to this. March the 8th, 2005. Here it is almost April the 8th. It takes me a month to do papers lately. Glendora, Post Office Box 124, Ghent, New York. Take notice that properties country preferred, 19 Central Square, Chatham, New York, 12037. Plaintiffs seeks judgment in this court against you for $00 together with costs upon the following claim. Appealed transferred from Chatham Village Court. There will be a hearing before the court upon the claim on April the 13th, 2005 at 8:30 a.m. in the City Court of Hudson, Small Claims Part, held at 429 Warren Street, Hudson, New York. Beta, if somebody seeks judgment against Glendora for $00, why should Glendora go to court? Gamma, when a police officer arrests somebody without a statute, this is false arrest. If a court summons an individual to court when there is no probable cause, Fourth Amendment, that is a false summons, and that is actionable. Delta, Glendora is falsely summoned to the Chatham Village Court 3 times in 2004, March the 23rd, March the 30th, and April the 13th. Note the April 13th date, a year later, of this instant paper. They're both April the 13th. One 2004 and one 2005. George Dixon and Mrs. Dixon, the clerk, Natalia and her liar for hire, James Kleinbaum, can be sued for this, and they may be. Epsilon, I am Glendora. I do not know any entity, capital letters, Glendora Buell Folsom Vesta. Zeta, I know Glendora Vesta Folsom Buell to be a real person. Capital letters, Glendora, Vesta, Folsom, Buell, all capital letters, is a fiction. I do not know any such person. Remember that. I am a person named capital G and then lowercase Lendora. Capital G, all caps, Lendora is a fiction. Eta, both Glendora, Buell, Folsom, Vesta in caps, and Glendora, Buell, Folsom, Vesta first letter caps, and all other letters lowercase are unknown to me. I am Glendora, a real person, and I am writing this memorandum to the City Court, City of Hudson, adorned under a statute of the State of New York, the Uniform City Court Act of 1973, governed by Section 1801 et sequitur. Is that you? Section 1801 is the small claims. Iota. Glendora, a real person and not a fiction, does not know any properties country preferred. All caps. And she will go so far as to state that she does not know any properties, capital P, smaller case, country, capital C, smaller case, preferred, capital P, smaller case, fiction or real. Are you a court? Did you write this, quote, notice of claim, unquote? Paper has no title. Paper has no caption. Did you issue the same? Is this an imposter? Do you really have this docketed as small claims number 05-2881? Question mark? That's an awful lot of small claims for the year 05 in the 4th month. Lambda, so far this paper has everything upside down. It reads better if I stand on my head. It is like Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Moo. .com. You want to come up and see the people? Appealed, this court says, transferred from Chatham Village Court. That doesn't even make sense. Can anything be appealed from the Chatham Village Court? It must be appealed from the county court. New. There will be a hearing before the court upon the claim. Something, something, something. And what is the claim? If I do not know what the claim is, then this is automatic win on appeal. Glendora has to understand the charge. So far, no claim has been claimed. Omricon. You must appear and present your defense and any counterclaim you may desire to assert at the hearing, at the time and place above set forth. Well, now how can Glendora present a meaningful defense if she has not been served a claim? As Federal Rules of Civil Procedure Rule 1 states, and every New York State analog thereto, every lawsuit starts with a complaint. Glendora has not been served a complaint. Pi. Pi r squared, the teacher intoned. No, the little girl says. Pi r round. And Stewart's is having a sale on tabletop pies, $2 for $1. When alleged claimant appears with an actionable claim and Glendora anticipates the same with alacrity, Glendora will not file a counterclaim. Maximum monetary jurisdiction for a counterclaim is usually a grand below. In other words, for the city courts now in the state of New York, the maximum small claim jurisdiction is $5,000, and probably the counterclaim is $4,000. So therefore, Glendora will file her own suit. It will not be a counterclaim, and the maximum jurisdiction will be $5,000. Row. Row your boat. A corporation does not have to be represented by an attorney, but must be represented by an authorized officer, director, or employee. A defendant who wishes to file a counterclaim shall do so by filing with the clerk a statement containing such a counterclaim within 5 days of receiving the notice of claim. That's this thing that I was sent. At the time of such filing, the defendant shall pay to the clerk a filing fee of $5 plus the cost of mailings which are required pursuant to this subdivision. The clerk shall forthwith send notice of the counterclaim by ordinary first-class mail to the claimant. If the defendant fails to file a counterclaim in accordance with the provisions of this subdivision, the defendant retains the right to file the counterclaim. However, the claimant may, but shall not be, required to request and obtain an adjournment of the hearing to a later date. The claimant may reply to the counterclaim, but shall not be required to. Now, that's pretty clear. Why doesn't the claimant have to respond to the counterclaim? It just said up here, if you don't, judgment by default. And this is a run-on sentence, and I tell them that courts have to be very careful about their sentencing. And what is their statutory authority that the claimant doesn't have to answer? Sigma. If you do not appear, judgment will be entered against you by default. I wish that were true. Even though you may have a valid defense. That's what they say, but they don't do it, let me tell you. Even if nobody has stated and served a complaint, they could get judgment by default. Glendora will probably appear to prevent default to judgment, but reserves all rights for dismissal upon myriad grounds. Tau. Supported by witnesses. If your defense or counterclaim is supported by witnesses, account books, receipts, or other documents, you must produce them at the hearing. Well, how can I have either if I have no claim? Upsilon. The claim is something is requested, will issue, oh yeah, the clerk, if requested, will issue subpoenas for witnesses without fee thereof, and they'll also issue subpoenas ducis tecum, which means for information or documents. And Glendora says with appreciation, and now we're up to fee. Fee full 5 if you admit the claim but desire time to pay, you must appear personally on the day set for the hearing. State to the court that you desire time to pay and show your reason for the same. Well, first of all, what is the claim? Kai. Can you read this name? I think that's Rosemary. I make an issue of this. I need to see your name printed. Like most signatures, I cannot read it. They should print their name. Note, a corporation as a defendant must be represented in accordance with provisions of Subtitle A, Section 321, Civil Practice Laws and Rules. If you desire a jury trial, you must, before the day upon which you have been notified to appear, file with the clerk. as you noticed here on my title page, and I recommend this. Jury trial demanded. Settles that for all time in case anybody forgets. I have to see the claim first. Be on notice. Jury trial will probably be demanded. Show Glendora claim properly served. Take a notice for jury demand after Glendora decides. Or pick another appearance date and Glendora can submit the day before the jury demand. Now we're up to psi. Of the court, a written demand for a trial by jury, you must also pay to the clerk a jury fee of $70 and file an undertaking in the sum of $50 or deposit such sum in cash to secure the payment of any costs that may be awarded against you. That sounds to me unconstitutional. And file an undertaking in the sum of $50 or deposit such sum in cash to secure the payment of any costs that may be awarded against you. That sounds to me unconstitutional. If you do not appear, judgment will be entered against you by default, even though you may have a valid defense. Even if nobody has stated and served a claim. Omega. You will also be required to make an affidavit specifying the issues of fact which you desire to have tried by a jury, stating that such trial is desired and demanded in good faith. Under the law, the court may award $25 additional cost to the plaintiff if a jury trial is demanded by you and a decision is rendered against you. Divot. Alpha Alpha. Bring this notice with you at all times. Okay. A copy of the booklet, A Guide to Small Claims Court, is available at the Small Claims Office. Thank you. Please send the same. I say this arrived on the 18th of March. Glendora asks, are you a court of law? Record. Can Glendora videotape and audiotape her hearing for the TV show and her internet TV show? Please refer to the order from the county court appeals. When do you hear my case? See, that's only one case. Remember, there were two. There was Glendora versus Preferred Country Property. And then pages 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. You have already heard. Glendora is not serving James Kleinbaum. He was in. He has not appeared. That is, he has not copied Glendora with a notice of appearance. He may be fired by now. Anyway, all others on Glendora's buddy list on page 20 were served, and you saw those. April, and that is all. And Glendora's claim against Natalia Preferred Country Properties is 806 hours at $300 an hour, plus $3,244.33 print, post, fees, and travel. Glendora's endowment includes $435 security deposit plus 9% statutory interest since June the 28th. Glendora signed Opus 1262, 1,262 legal papers, 8 hours, but that went way beyond 8 hours, it went up to 10, and it cost $18 to print, post, and travel. You've heard of Newton's law, third law of motion. For every action is an equal and opposite reaction, particularly if you are married. You can live each day as though it were your last. You can live each day as though it were your last, and one day you'll be right. Why are Bob and Joan the perfect couple? He's a hypochondriac and she's a pill. We have had 6 requests for the Glendora Happy Book. This is an can also enter the Glendora Happiness Contest. Being written is Glendora's motion for a Rule 60B release from order. Terrible. United States District Court, Puerto Rico. Dominguez. All the jot thoughts have been articulated. Next is to take his order and slash it to shreds. It's terrible. The type is too small. It's not double spaced. Poor Carol, she shouldn't have to do that. But I don't like the idea anyway. Why don't they burn it? Why don't they burn it? That's too hard for her. They should burn it. That looks like a game. But they never seem to materialize. Anyway, .com and stop hiding under the bed. Thank you. You're very good at that, little kitten. See, this is the first time that she's played. Oh, look, and Big.com. Big.com is interested in the little kitten. This is the first time that she's been playing because she's been so sick with that head cold. Can you imagine the woman heard the kitten cry at 6:30 on a cold, wet, dark morning and outside of her porch, and she just shut the door. And then the poor little kitten went and looked for somebody else. She didn't get to James until 10:30. And by that time, of course, she had terrible, terrible cold, terrible congestion in her nose and throat, and hardly breathe. Got a problem, huh, kitty? Won't come out? The ball won't come out of there? You need some people help, or can you do it? She's not going to give up, I guess. You want Glennie to help you? You want the TV audience to help you? You want the internet people to help you? Who'll come and help you? Come on. Who'll come and help you, little kitten? Here, who'll come and help? Here, honey. Here it is. Here it is. Where's the kitten now? Kitty? Where's the kitten? Where's the little kitten? Now where'd she go? Oh, here she is. Kitty! Here. Get her attention. Come on, kitty. Here. Well, I have to turn off the camera. It's not working. get your attention now? Anyway, she's much better. Seldomly does she sneeze, and the breathing is rattled somewhat, but better. And over here we have Glendora versus John Tata in the United States District Court, Puerto Rico. Motion, Rule 60B, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, for relief from the order dismissing this great case. Doggone was in the game a little. It was cute. The kitten was underneath the bed, putting out that cute little paw. And .com was receiving from the other side. Now, is there going to be an action and a reaction? Is there going to be meeting three laws of motion here? Three laws of motion. Inertia. The force equals the acceleration times the mass. And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Nope. No game. Well, at first .com was scared and her ego was smashed and she lost her exclusive person that she had to herself. But now I think she likes a little kitten around the place. And I think both of them are kind of tired from eating so much. Folks, you can't hear her breathing, so you can't hear any rattle. You know, it was terrible. I don't hear any breathing. No, I don't think I hear any rattle. Do you, .com? I think she's made great headway. And she plays for the first time. She plays. Folks, how are you today? This has been all day. I think I'm on my 15th or 16th hour on this legal paper. Clerk of the Court, United States District Court, San Juan, Puerto Rico. That's the District of Puerto Rico. And Defendant Elliot Spitzer, Attorney General of the State of New York, and Lisa Gurney, 120 Broadway, New York, New York. Great American Patriot, Washington, D.C., George E. McDermott, fighting judicial tyranny and giving everything he had. Defendant Lawrence F. Goldman, through the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct, 3540 State Street, Albany, New York. And to the Center for Judicial Accountability, another great American patriot, Elena Sasso, White Plains, New York. And you don't look like a patriot at all. And .com. You think that's your mother, .com? Where is your mother? What is your story, .com? What is your story? Oh, what progress these two kittens have made. Since Monday? Was it Monday? Was it Monday? I believe so. Con, don't fight with her. She's just a little baby. She wants some comfort. She just wants to lie down next to you as if you were her mother, Con. Thank you, Con. Folks, I'll read you this great legal paper. It is really a great paper. Well, first of all, I have to serve it. No, that's kind of too bad, Tom. But you're making progress, honey. You are making progress. My goodness. The kitten dislodged.com from .com's bed. Oh, the Supreme Queen. April 6, 2005. United States District Court, District of Puerto Rico, the First Circuit. It's Civ 05 1049 Daniel R. Dominguez. Rule 50B motion. First under Federal Rules of Civil Procedure for relief from judgment. Glendora plaintiff. This is Joan Todd. Cablevision Systems Corporation, James L. Dolan, Charles F. Dolan, Mac Dudil, Thomas Garger, Charles Former, Peggy Anderson, Christine Savarino, Thomas Garger, and their liar for hire, Robert M. Callaghy and Satterley Stevens, Burke and Burke, 230 Park Avenue, NY, and Frank Petrone, Marlene Budd, Mark Cuthbertson, Susan Burland, in the town of Huntington, New York, Joel M. Plum, and Gino J. Agnello, third group of defendants, the Chief Judge and the Clerk of the Seventh Circuit, United States Court of Appeals, Chicago. Joseph S. Battalion, United States District Judge in Omaha, Nebraska. Michael B. Mukasey, a United States District Judge in Manhattan, one of the worst and illiterate pro se clerks. And Lawrence S. Goldman and Francis A. Chardulo and Stephen R. Coffey, Colleen C. DiPiro. These are all people who are on the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. Richard D. Emery, Raul Lionel Solder, Christina Hernandez, Daniel F. Luciano, Karen K. Peters, Alan J. Polk, Cherry Jane Ruderman, Jean M. Savanu, Robert Tembechian, and the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. Terrence McDermott and Clifford D. Nyersbach, and the National Association of Realtors. Their code of ethics and standards of practice is a trod on public. Mary Lou Kirsten and Roberta Nicholson, and the Columbia Green Board of Realtors. IBID. Anonymous Chief Judge of the Southern Circuit. William W. Wilkins, the Chief Judge of the Fourth Circuit in Richmond, Virginia. Charles N. Clavert, Jr., a United States District Judge in Milwaukee, who ruined a great lawsuit. Well, he didn't ruin it, it's still a great lawsuit. The Lawrence L. Pearsall, a United States District Judge in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Brian S. Kelly and David Tisano and Linda Close in Berkshire Telephone Corporation, 15 Broad Street, Kinderhook, New York. Those are all the people sued. But the only ones who appeared, and they appeared untimely, was the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct, Goodson, in that group. And they appeared through Elliot Spitzer, the Attorney General for the state of New York. Stand by. The terrible paper that was presented by Elliot Spitzer and Lisa Gardy, I read to you, and I also read my cross motion, and I read my can you hold on a sec? I have two hands. Refutation of things. The Dominguez, that's the name of the Puerto Rican judge, paper on March the 7th, 5, it should be, is fatally flawed. It is not an order until it is signed by a judge. That's Rule 58, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, and by the Constitution of the United States, by Article 1, Bill of Rights of the Constitution of the State of New York, Glendora is entitled to a real judge. Federally, Glendora is entitled to an Article 3 judge. The other half of the jura is missing. It just says the date. It doesn't say Puerto Rico, the location. And Dominguez, his name is spelled D. Donald, O. M. Mary, I. N. Nancy, G. U. E. Z, has no service list. Dominguez failed to serve all parties. Can you imagine a judge failing to serve all parties? And he fails to have a service list. Dominguez did not list all parties in the caption. Now, the first paper out of court has to list all parties. This is not a siesta. Dominguez ruled ex parte. He never heard Glendora. Did you know that? He never got my paper, the one that I read to you last week. He never got it. And he said he never heard from Glendora. That is not right. And you think you can find any cats in Puerto Rico like you? I had one other cat like that. Carmino cat. Do you remember him? Way back in the 1980s? And he would never leave you alone. He always wanted to sit on your shoulder. That's the wrong end toward the camera. His response is shoddy, untruthful, illegal, hasty and superficial, and breaks the law. This motion something, Glendora's March the 6th paper, vacate his error and abuse of discretion of March the 7th and grant Glendora all the relief she so justly sought in her well-pleaded complaint served on January 15, 2005, Civil Rights Day. Dominguez, March 7th, anathema on America, is abandoned, reckless, dissolute, profligate, and reprobate. It shows no acuity, training, epiphany, nor Americanism. He is wrong from the start, and Glendora wants her $150 cash back. Now, folks, that's what it costs. $150, and look at the trash you get for it. get for it isn't right, so I want it refunded. Glendora wants her $150 Social Security money back. Dominguez failed to do his job as advertised. Justice. Stop robbing us of our courts. Acuity is totally absent when a judge dismisses Glendora's case on the motion from one defendant. One defendant. You heard all the defendants. One defendant cannot be granted dismissal of the entire case. A co-defendant cannot defend the other defendant, nor did the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. One defendant can plead to dismiss the complaint against that one defendant, not against all defendants. As Glendora vigorously opposed, defendant New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct has no jurisdiction to ask the same, that is, to have the case dismissed in its entirety. They can only speak for the one defendant. Dominguez has no jurisdiction to grant the same. All Dominguez is doing is dirty judge protection. This lawsuit, as you remember, was about dirty judges. It was all about Cablevision, or dirty cable operator. But it was about dirty judges and clerks. And so all Dominguez is doing is protecting dirty judges who are his buddies. And it smells clear across the Atlantic Ocean, blue ocean, from Puerto Rico to Albany. This was the only defendant who appeared, and said defendant did not appear timely. This is the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct, the only one who appeared, and represented by the New York State Attorney General. Glendora correctly asked for Rule 55 Federal Rules of Civil Procedure for judgment by default. All of the defendants defaulted, even the one that wrote the paper, because it came in late. Dominguez ignored in its entirety Glendora's motion for default judgment. Can you imagine a judge doing that? Even Small Claims Court, Section 1801, New York State, Unified City Court Act, knows better. Look, I'll show it to you folks. If you do not appear, judgment will be entered against you by default, even though you may have a valid defense. That's as clear as it is, Dominguez. It can't get any clearer. They were in default. They didn't answer the charge. It's prima facie. A small claims judge beats a federal judge, and at half the price. $70,000 a year instead of $140,000 a year. The fee is $15 in small claims court, 1/10 of what this court defrauded Glendora. By Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, additionally, to not having jurisdiction to dismiss all defendants, Rule 12, New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct, it had no meritorious defense. The New York State Attorney could find no meritorious defense for the New York State Commission on Judicial Conduct. They have a job to do, which is protect you from bad judges. We presented them with a bad judge, 600 pages of record, and they let him go. A few months later, the judge himself said he was disqualified. Dominguez, they were not fully informed of the facts and circumstances and paraded this ignominy on the TV and the internet, nor did either declare under penalty of perjury. They were alleging, pronouncing, professing, avouching, avowing, attesting, affirming. They were telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help them God. Not one of them did that. You know that they didn't. Glendora asseverates that she is, and that they are not. Dominguez, honoring the rag the New York State Attorney accepted, attests to the nadir to which the federal courts have plummeted. This is this week's affright. One cannot get much lower than the machinations of the New York State Attorney General's office. They are a bunch of liars. Just as the United States attorneys are a bunch of liars. And the feds sell out to them. The United States courts cannot incur the likes of this without serious detriment. America needs just the antithesis, to be affranchised from such rot. Dominguez had a duty to attend